And we're back. It was nice. I only started it after the nice rich chords had passed. I was like trying to catch up and just like it's just like you're I'm sure you have
No,
this where your kids are doing something great and you're like fiddling with your phone and you get it on just
like
after the key
just
moment
after the good
has
stuff.
yeah.
I know I'm still botching it. There is a thing I've been thinking when I started learning the song. I think learning how to play an instrument is like learning how to speak a language in the sense that when you don't know how to do it and you think I'd like to be able to speak that language, you think to yourself, "Oh my god, wouldn't it be so awesome if I could speak French?" Like you hear people speaking French and be like, "I want to speak French." And then and the amount of effort that it takes to actually learn French. And then it's like, okay, yeah, you speak French. I mean, not that the point was to impress anybody, but like this song that I still don't, I still, it's still slightly out of reach. But like, I'm at this point where I'm like, I like it, and I like, but it's more like I'm really impressed that I'm able to pull that off. But like, no one else will be. And not that it's about anybody else. Like, I just wanted to be able to do those chords and just like hear how that sounds. And when you just like all these little, or like the, like you hear that growing up, and you're like, and then all of a sudden you can do it, and it's just like, oh my god, I just unlocked the keys to something was magical to me as a kid. But then then you get to a point where you're just like almost ready to perform it, and then you realize nobody wants to freaking hear this. You know what I mean?
Well, I
It's like
mean,
no.
is it? It's an interesting question about like how much is it valid to want to impress people? You know what I mean? Because there is
Right,
something
right.
where you're like, you work your butt off, you can do this thing, and people are like, cool, and go on, with their chatting or whatever, and and then it feels like, oh, is it needy to want someone to
Right.
react? But
To say, yeah.
yeah, but
I
I
mean,
think
like,
maybe that's valid. Maybe there's like, if you could divide up categories of creativity or performance, maybe one of them would be somehow, that's a legit muscle to want to flex.
yeah, it seems like a weird sort of curve in terms of appreciation where like you put a lot of work in at the beginning, like when you're really starting out on something and you just do something basic, but you do it kind of well at the beginning, like when you're a kid, or even when you're just sort of new to something, people are like, oh my God, wow, that's amazing. And then if you keep going, the appreciation goes way, way almost to nothing for a long time. But there's sometimes if you really get to the point where you've mastered something and you can sort of pull it out of your back pocket in a way that's not overly whatever, then all of a sudden at the other end, like people can be like, oh my God, like this person can do an amazing thing. And this is just the right thing for this moment. And that's wonderful. But it's a real desert
Yeah, that's true.
of appreciation.
It's interesting though, but because so as you know, I grew up playing jazz, jazz,
I grew up playing
jazz.
jazz.
I,
Is that the demonstration of jazz? Is that a style?
I grew up
I
playing
grew up
jazz.
playing.
Well, and I feel like in jazz, there's like when you're a kid, anything's great, and then once you emerge a little bit out of that, it's virtuosity or nothing. It's not that impressive if you're not a
Right.
virtuoso.
Exactly.
And sort of a revelation to me actually to just like be places with you and you pull out your guitar, actually even before you, but just like playing a guitar and learning four chords, and you can play songs people sing along with. But then I think you're a perfect example of it. Like you're like the ideal campfire guitar guy, and it's so fun, and it doesn't have to be virtuosic at all. You have your own virtuosity in how you lead a sing along, so that's not to be understated. But even short of that talent, if you can just like play songs, it doesn't have to be virtuosity. It doesn't have to be like amazing technically. It just has to be like the right fun thing at the right moment. And
Yeah.
actually, that was sort of a revelation for me to discover that a little bit later in life, and I kind of admire it. So it's radical for me. The few songs I've been recording in the last few years have been simpler, and that's sort of
Yeah.
radical for me in a really liberating way.
Yeah. And it's a funny thing how once you get the simple stuff down, like I just probably within the last couple of years have gotten to the point where I can just sort of comp chords on the piano. Like I've been like I was, because I can play the guitar and because I can pick songs out of the air, and also, just sort of, if I see a bunch of chords, and I know the song, I can do it, which is a certain plateau of level. But yeah, no way, I'm not impressing anybody with my guitar thing. I'm just holding it together. But I always was like, well, it would be great to be able to do that on the piano too. Just know the chords and be able to, just know where the chords are without thinking. That's basically the level of guitar I'm at. But I'm sort of there with the piano now, and feeling like, oh, but what if I can do this? And then so I start learning a little bit more fancy stuff and a little more fancy stuff. And it is funny because, yeah, the amount of appreciation that I feel like for leading a sing along and people singing, Trouble by Cat Stevens. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, now I'm going to like invest just a lot of time and frustration and sort of getting over my clumsy fingers and learn something a lot harder. And it's not just diminishing returns, it's negative returns.
I wonder if that's. I've always thought it was piano specifically. Do you think there's a piano specific? Because I've always thought like you have to be a lot better. Well, okay, I can already think of a counterpoint to my own point as I'm making it, but I have felt that I felt like I chose sort of I poorly chose my instrument in a way, because first of all, you can't carry it anywhere. You're stuck with whatever crappy piano you stumble upon. But also, like, it's harder to make something sound impressive. Like, if you play the exact same chords with the exact same rhythm on a piano and a guitar, it sounds shitty on the piano and sounds great on a guitar. And you're like, oh, let's sing to that. So I've always thought there was a bit of a piano thing. But that said, I've also been, like, in this sort of radical simplicity thing. I've been noticing how any kind of pop or rock piano, it's just like sometimes just like a triad, 3 notes. Oh, yeah. It's just hit in the right way. And that's like the idea that I would have ever grown up playing 3 notes in a triad is unthinkable in jazz. It's just unthinkable.
Right. And that's that's bread and butter guitar.
Yeah.
Guitar, it's all just about the unaugmented chord. Augmented, can't even use that.
Adorned?
Adorned, thank you. The unadorned chords are the main thing. But it's interesting because in that song, in New York State of Mind, when you get into the comping the chords part, this actually is the better part. But it is nice to be able to get the intro. But like you can, it's okay, so many thoughts because of you're saying about this like simplicity kick.
Okay,
and then he died.
I've got 10 things to say about that. Get comfortable.
Okay. Get comfortable. Number 1. No, the simplicity thing. I mean, I think that in some ways one of the downfalls of the piano is it's like you got a nuclear weapon and people generally want small arms fire. And it's so hard not to it's so hard not to use the nuclear arsenal. And when you do, that's why when you're doing the pieces that you just put on, I was about to say Netflix, Spotify. I mean, it's great. And it's not like those are overly simple because those do sound, but they're just like it seems they're not the kind of simple thing that it's not just triads that somebody's just like banging out chords. I mean, there's very thoughtful transitions and blah, blah, blah. But the fact that less notes are being played is a real plus. And the guitar sort of, I think, forces you to do less because you can't do more. So I wonder if that's a part of it. I mean, it is interesting that I'm so obsessed with piano right now because it probably would be better use of my time to get better at the guitar.
But better by what? By
it's just like, what's the utility? Yeah. That's what
But it's like whatever is exciting. I'm kind of thrilled to know that you're obsessed with the piano right now because I've been in a bit of a music drought, a music creation drought, and you know how it's easy to just assume that whatever's happening in your own brain and your own life must be shared universally. So like
I am representative of the zeitgeist after all.
Right, exactly. So what does that mean? Are you reporting to the piano regularly?
Oh yeah.
Mornings, evenings? When does this happen?
Yeah. Well, I think
it's so great.
I think at some point I decided that it was better to do 10 minutes 4 times a day than to do 40 minutes 1 time a day, and really much better than doing 3 hours once a week. And so I'm a 10 minutes 4 times a day kind of guy.
How
But
recently?
actually I'm more than that. No, I mean, that's been me for 2 years. And this is how far I've
So
gotten.
great.
So it's, I
No,
mean,
that's
how great
great.
is it?
It's great. No, because it's great. Because it's like, um, I just, where's my piano? Where's my keyboard? And then
I
there's,
saw a corner of it. Yeah.
there it is.
Beauty. She's a beauty. Can
How,
can you play it like with you from a distance?
wouldn't that be amazing if the
Ling,
music
ling,
had
ling, ling,
started?
ling, ling, ling.
Um,
That
the
would be a good video gag.
it
To
would
be like over your shoulder and just be like,
it would have to be Scott Joplin. Yeah, try it again. That's good. That's
that's good
good stuff.
entertainment.
Yeah, you can't get that anywhere. Um, I can't remember what I was gonna say, but oh yeah, I just like I don't report. I don't do it. Just I've lost. I know this will come back, but right now it's completely gone from my life. The like, oh, let me sit down and play for the enjoyment and the love. I've gotten into this like, and this is my whole transition right now, and I'm trying to get back from. I've gotten into this whole like business like slog of creativity, which has lost its fun and its spark. And you should like I've had actually some ideas for songs come in my head or for like it sort of feels like it's coming back to maybe another daddy daughter rap time, but like it's unthinkable. I can't, it's like trains moving
Does
too fast.
the business side of your brain says, "Shut up, creative
Yeah,
munchkins.
yeah.
Adults are in charge."
No, it's like work on this creative project. It's like they're rowing. They're like
Oh.
in the longboats. They're like row, row. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Well,
Anyway,
no,
but it's inspiring that you just like, oh, I want to sit down and play something. Like, of course, I want to sit down and play something. Why am I not letting myself do that?
I get infatuated with songs. Like right now, I'm infatuated with New York State of Mind, and it's just this weird thing. And like,
By Alicia
you know,
Keys.
no, no,
No.
no. Talking back from when, no, no, Alicia Keys is great.
Why don't you like Alicia Keys?
No, I've been feeling a little. I do have this weird. I think we talked about this before. My weird sort of mixed emotions about Billy Joel. That just like that he's the epitome of uncool to some people,
Oh, right.
and yeah, but like
But
I'm
he's
like,
come
come
back
on,
around,
this
right?
stuff is awesome.
It is awesome. Yeah. That's the way everything works. If it's in the realm of 10 to 15 years old, it's uncool. And then it comes back around and gets appreciated again.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, because he's beyond that. But I just was thinking like because I've got I can play
I
and sing New
just
York.
before you move on, I just want to say I don't think there's a lot of strong anti Billy Joel factions left. I think
Oh, in New York there are.
really
Maybe in California. I feel like in
it's
California,
it's
probably people didn't
too
care that much to begin with, and now so
uh,
they still don't care about how much they hate him. So now I don't know if
you
anyone
think
hates him.
anyone still? I mean, it's like
I just
that's
remember.
too
Okay,
old to care. I wonder if you're hanging on. I'm sure there was anti Billy Joel factions here in California and in New York for quite a while, but I feel like
I don't
it's
even think it was
past.
so much anti Billy Joel factions. It's more just like I remember I played a show, and then after the show, everyone was just like, yeah, it was a good show, and somebody asked me like, what were your influences growing up? And they were talking about all these obscure, cool indie things from the '80s, and I didn't have access to that in Vermont. We had like regular radio stations and no record stores, so I had what I had. But somebody gave me a Led Zeppelin tape and a Grateful Dead tape, and I had I was like Grateful Dead, Led Zeppelin, Billy Joel, and who was the other one? I can't remember, but um, and the Eagles. And somebody was just like, those first two are defensible, but man, those last two, it's just like, oh god,
Uh,
it's
that's just what
like
you.
saying my favorite actor is I don't know, I was gonna say Gwyneth Paltrow. No offense, she's taking a lot of heat right now. She's great.
She was good in. Wasn't she in Shakespeare in Love?
Like, I don't know.
I think she was good in that. I feel like you were the one who said, I think it was you who quoth years ago, that it's like part of when you're a young person, you're developing taste. Part of the way
Yeah.
you do it is you find things to crap on. You know, and we
I
all
thought you were going to say find things to like, and
no,
then, but no,
it's
no.
the
Start with
opposite.
what the crap on.
It's not, you know, you don't have. Think about like the immature development of taste is really about negativity about something. You know, if you're like, oh, I love this and I love that, then you're not like, oh, you have taste. It's like, I like this
Taste
and this is crap.
about recognizing what's bad.
It is. And so like,
This is
if you look
defensible.
back, everybody would define themselves by like, I like this and this and I hate this and this. Like there used to be a mantra around where I grew up. It was like, I like everything but opera and country. And I remember saying that at some point, but it's like, there's great opera. There's amazing opera. There's incredible country. Why did you decide to do it? It was just a way to sort of define yourself, to like prove your bona fides.
It is a funny thing to say. I hate a whole category of stuff.
Yeah, it's stupid.
Like, probably you haven't really
Yeah.
been in it too deep. I know some people who are like anti-rap. They're like, that's not real music. It's
Right.
just like, come on.
Well, yeah.
It's just like, really?
There's some of it is crap and some of it is brilliant.
Yeah. Oh,
just
of
like
course.
every
just like everything else.
every other genre, and just like opera. And so, you know, I mean, I don't know. There also is taste. You know, there is opera. It's just like I can't get there. You know, but also when I was growing up, there was jazz I couldn't access at all.
Yeah.
That I thought was just
jazz
noise.
is still out of my reach. Yeah.
And then I was like, then it clicked in for me at some point, and there's some of it that now clicks for me and just is genius. And then there's still others of it that's like, that's just too out there for me. But some people love that stuff. So. Yeah,
that's my theory. My theory of magic is that that what magic is, what human magic is mostly invisible to most people. But if you are really, if you're really interested in something, and maybe you even pursue it, like jazz piano as an example, then you can see a master at work and just be like in awe and just be it's just like knocked over and feel like, how did they do that? That's impossible what they pulled off. That's what I think of as magic. And what's funny about it is that the magic that's recognized by people who have an interest is invisible to most people. It's indistinguishable. Like, it's like the difference between Federer and a college tennis player. Like, both of them would wipe me off the court with equal amount of time. I wouldn't be able to, if they didn't have name tags or whatever, I wouldn't be able to tell, oh, this one's a Wimbledon player. Or maybe, I don't know. But I probably wouldn't really be able to tell why, at least, Federer's that is so much superior to this other person. But to somebody, they're like, and when they're like, oh, no, they have an ability to read the ball or whatever it is that I don't even know what the problem they're trying to solve is.
You can't speak the language. Yep.
But it's what's so interesting about like different kinds of magic, that you might have magic in something or the potential for magic, and 99% of people in the world, it will never be able to see that what you have is any different from what any schlub has.
Yeah. I remember when I was in high school, there was like sort of a good high school jazz program here, and when I was in it. And I was in this sort of like the small combo, which was the more elite group, but I sort of defaulted in there because there wasn't a worthy piano player instead of me. And, but I wasn't very good. And I remember, I think it was my junior year, that suddenly a couple of the guys who were better players, like, showed up at my house with mixtapes of like Coltrane and various stuff. And I was like, oh, that's nice of you. My house is a little bit out of the way. Thanks for stopping by. They were like trying to get my literacy up, you know? And I remember listening, one of them was Coltrane's album, A Love Supreme. And I remember listening at first and being like, I just can't hear it. It's kind of noise. And
I can't hear it. Yeah, that's so funny.
And then, you know, I don't know what it was, time 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. It was just like, oh my God, this is genius from the center of, you know, from a distant galaxy. It's just like, this is, and I still feel like that about A Love Supreme. It is one of the most moving, genius pieces of music ever put together, but it's like I just couldn't even find the door at first.
Yeah, I think that there's something that's so interesting about that, and also encouraging. I just abstracted. I feel like that is one of the most encouraging realizations in the world that just that there's I think people have this idea of wizards and muggles that there's some people, these elite people who are just way over here, and then most of us are muggles, when I really believe that there's just thousands of different kinds of Hogwarts. And that's the goal, is to find your Hogwarts. Like, everybody would be a wizard if they really clicked into what their brand of magic was, and then they got the sort of like the support to get there. And of course, if it came from within, then they would have the steam, or they'd have the whatever it was to take them up the ladders. The end.
I like it. That's Harry Potter, right?
Yeah. Really? When I say Hogwarts, that's not, I mean,
Hogwarts
I
is
thought
what got me back onto the Harry Potter thing. The Wizards and Muggles, I was like, is that
Muggles?
like
Yeah, that's a Harry Potter thing.
I thought it was what is the off-brand Muppets? It was
No,
like
I don't know.
No, like Jim Henson did it.
Yeah, the Zuggles. No.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, they were the. Oh God, we just watched it recently. Apparently, that was a show that Katrina really liked. It'll come to me.
It wasn't off-brand. I guess it was Jim Henson. It was kind of like it was like Jim Henson's off-brand Muppets.
I would call that spin-off. I think off-brand has the wrong connotation.
Yeah, I mean, it came from Jim Henson.
It's more like the album that you didn't love as much.
Right. Well, yeah.
So on brand, off.
You're right. But Katrina did like it. It was like a special place in her.
She did. Oh my God, the name almost came to me.
You think she liked it better? It was like she's among the group that loved that album actually more. That most people didn't realize how great it was.
Yeah, it's like when George Lucas went on Jon Stewart, and like the whole Jon Stewart fandom like hated the whole prequel thing and the cartoons and stuff, and George Lucas is like, to this whole generation, the original Star Wars movies are stupid, and they love the cartoons and they love the thing. I mean, like the numbers of people that love that crap, and it's just like, really? But
interesting. So I get it.
That's, of course, that could just be the numbers talking,
Yeah, we don't have to go very far down Star Wars snobbery to get me to fall asleep. Just like, yeah, they were fun. Was that just the lead up to snobbery?
That was the face of ultimate judgment, but in jest.
I see.
I had a thought about, there's this expression, "Judge not, lest ye be judged."
Sure.
I used to think that meant
you got a comma a little bit after the not.
Judge,
not
lest you be judged. No, judge not, lest ye be judged. I used to think that meant, like, if you're judging other people for something, it's just like, oh, that person wears ugly shirts, then you will become judgmental actually subconsciously to your own shirts, and you'll be constantly like, oh my God, people are worried about my shirt, and but really no one cares about your shirt. You just care about shirts. So judge other people not, and then you won't judge yourself, and then you won't even notice if somebody did. Who cares?
Interesting.
So, but now I have a new appreciation.
That's very attuned to your pathology. Like,
oh really?
The inner voice.
Can you tell me, what's your interpretation of it?
Your inner voice is like the thing to be feared most.
Of course, there's nothing stronger than that.
Right.
Self-directed. But how would you interpret it?
I thought it was just like, go around judging people. They're going to be it'll be your turn soon. You'll be the one on the other end of that, pal.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's what I just came around to. Because that's where I just recently felt this thing where somebody was trying to be helpful about our current health crisis that we're going through. So somebody said, well, maybe this will be good because, usually you're so anything goes. Maybe this will help you get more organized.
Jesus.
And I just I felt such disdain, and my first place my mind went was just like all these things that was wrong with that person.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, this is the judge not lest you be judged thing. I felt judged, so then I'm like, oh, you're judging me, huh? Yeah. Okay, well, let's get started on your deficits.
That is
I could
super
come up with a lot of stuff.
unsupportive. That is a super backhanded compliment,
Oh
unsupportive.
no, it wasn't a compliment. It was, I don't know if that's some kind of optimism.
But it's like
Still
a
pissed
whatever
off.
is that like latent judgment. It's like I've got this like bursting package of
Yeah,
judgment here that
I've
here's
been
an
thinking about
excuse.
this. I've been thinking about this for 8 years. Here's where I can let it
Let me
fly.
just tug on the ribbon here and whoo, bag
Yeah,
opens.
but that's what the bag opened on my brain.
Yeah, that's
I was
interesting.
like, oh really?
It's like
Let me look
nu-
critically at you.
yeah, it's like nuclear proliferation. Pull the pin knot.
Yeah, pull not your pin of judgment, lest somebody pull their pin of judgment on you.
Lest it start a chain reaction for a pileup of explosives. Well, all right. I think we figured it out.
Okay, I was going to tie that back to the whole other thing we were talking about before. Well, it's just interesting about like judging like musical taste and all of this stuff, and how does that fit? And I guess maybe there's no tie back, but I mean, in some ways, we were talking. The whole subject of today's conversation was judgment, wasn't it? Or
Was
taste? Maybe, I don't know.
I feel like we went a few other places. I can't remember.
If only there was some way to go back
To find out what we said.
and access the history.
End broadcast.